The morning was cold and quiet when walked into the forest. The sun had not risen yet. The sky was gray and the air smelled like wet pine trees. He carried a small bag on his shoulder and walked slowly through the trees. He was checking his animal traps like he did every morning. Was 34 years old. He lived alone in a small house at the edge of a mountain village in South Korea. The village was very small. Only a few old people lived there now. The young people had all moved to the cities long ago, had moved here 2 years ago after his wife died in a car accident. He did not want to live in the city anymore. He did not want to see people. He did not want to talk. He just wanted to be alone with his pain. Before his wife died, had been an army medic. He knew how to treat wounds and save lives, but he could not save her. That thought never left his mind. Every night he saw her face. Every morning he woke up reaching for her. She was never there. The forest was his escape. Here there were no memories, just trees and animals and silence. He was walking toward his third trap when he saw the light. It came from the sky like a falling star, but it was too big and too bright. It moved fast, leaving a trail of fire behind it. Stopped and watched. The light crashed into the mountain about 1 kilometer away. The ground shook under his feet. Birds flew away from the trees, screaming. Stood very still for a long moment. His heart was beating fast. He knew he should go back to his house. He should call someone, but something pulled him forward. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the part of him that was still a medic, still trained to run toward danger instead of away from it. He walked toward the crash site. It took him almost 30 minutes to climb through the thick forest. The smell changed as he got closer. It was a strange smell, like burning metal mixed with something sweet and wrong. The trees here were broken and burned. A path of destruction led down the mountain. Then he saw it. The craft was half buried in the earth. It was not very big, maybe the size of a small truck, but it was not like any machine had ever seen. It did not look like it was built. It looked like it had grown. The surface was smooth and dark, like the shell of a beetle. Parts of it were cracked open, and pale smoke came out from inside. Approached slowly. His hands were shaking. He told himself to turn back. This was not something a farmer should deal with. This was something for the government, for scientists, for anyone but him. But then he saw the body. It was lying on the ground a few meters from the craft. At first, thought it was a person in a strange suit. Then he looked closer and his blood turned to ice. It was not human. The creature had a body shaped like a human, but everything was wrong. Its skin was gray-blue, like a fish that had been dead for days. Its arms and legs had too many joints. They bent in places where human limbs could never bend. Its head was too large and its eyes were like cracked glass, reflecting the gray sky. The creature was injured, badly injured. Pale fluid leaked from wounds across its chest and stomach. The fluid was not red like blood. It was silver, almost glowing. Stood frozen. Every part of his mind screamed at him to run. This was impossible. Aliens were things in movies and books. They were not real. They did not crash in the mountains of South Korea. But the creature moved, just a little. Its cracked eyes turned toward and it made a sound. A weak, wet sound full of pain. And just like that was a medic again. He dropped to his knees beside the creature. His hands moved without thinking. He opened his bag and pulled out the small first aid kit he always carried. He did not know if human medicine would work on this thing. He did not know if he was helping or hurting it, but he could not watch something die without trying to save it. He pressed cloth against the worst wounds to stop the silver fluid from leaking out. The creature's skin was cold and smooth, like touching wet stone. It did not pull away from him. It just watched him with those broken glass eyes. That was when noticed the device. It was lying in the dirt near the creature's hand. A small box, maybe the size of a phone, made of the same dark material as the crashed craft. It was cracked and damaged, but small lights flickered on its surface. Reached for it carefully. The moment his fingers touched it, the device made a sound. Static, like an old radio trying to find a signal. Then a voice came out. The voice was mechanical, broken, like a computer that was dying. But the words were Korean, clear Korean, and what the voice said made blood run cold. They are coming, they marked this world. You have 11 cycles, 11. Then the harvest begins. Stared at the device. His hand stopped moving. The cloth in his hand became wet with silver fluid, but he did not notice. The voice continued, breaking up, full of static. Run, hide, it will not matter. They always find the seeds. The seeds always grow. The seeds are always harvested. You have 11 cycles. 11, 11. The device made a crackling sound and died. The lights went dark. Silence returned to the forest. Looked at the creature. It was still watching him, but its eyes were closing. It was losing consciousness, maybe dying. What did that mean? Whispered. His voice was shaking. What harvest? Who is coming? The creature did not answer. Its eyes closed completely, and its body went limp. Sat there in the dirt for a long time. The sun rose slowly, sending golden light through the broken trees. The crashed craft continued to smoke. The creature continued to breathe, slowly and weakly, but still alive. Looked up at the sky that had always seemed so empty and peaceful. Now it felt different. Now it felt like something was watching from up there, something huge and hungry. 11 cycles. He did not know what that meant. 11 days, 11 months, 11 years. The harvest. That word echoed in his mind. Humans harvested crops. They harvested animals. They took things that were grown and used them. Seeds, the voice had called human seeds. Felt sick. He felt like the world had changed in the last hour, and nothing would ever be the same again. But he was still a medic, and there was still a creature dying in front of him. He took a deep breath and continued working on the wounds. He would save this thing first. Then he would find answers. Then he would decide what to do. As he worked, he made a decision. He would not tell anyone about this. Not yet. Not until he understood what was happening. He would take the creature to his barn. He would hide it. He would heal it. And he would make it talk. Because if something was coming to harvest the human race, wanted to know everything about it. The forest was quiet again, but knew the silence was a lie. Somewhere out there beyond the sky, something was counting down. 11 cycles. The clock had started. Days passed, 3 days of fear and confusion and very little sleep. Had carried the alien creature to his barn. It was not easy. The creature was heavier than it looked, and its body bent in strange ways that made it difficult to hold, but was strong from years of farm work, and he managed to drag it through the forest and into his property without anyone seeing him. The barn was old but solid, cleared out a corner and made a bed from hay and blankets. He laid the creature there and continued to treat its wounds. He did not know if he was doing the right things. Human medicine was all he knew, but the creature seemed to be getting better. The silver fluid stopped leaking. The wounds began to close slowly, like they were healing themselves. During those 3 days, barely left the barn. He watched the creature sleep. He watched its chest rise and fall with each breath. He studied its strange body, trying to understand what it was. And he tried to fix the translator device. Was not an expert with electronics, but he had learned some basic skills in the army. The device was badly damaged, but some parts still flickered with life. He opened it carefully and looked inside. The technology was beyond anything he had ever seen. But electricity was electricity. Signals were signals. He could work with that. On the second day, he called his sister. Was 28 years old and lived in Seoul. She worked as a telecommunications engineer for a big company. She was smart and practical and did not believe in things she could not see, had not talked to her in months. After his wife died, he had pushed everyone away, including his own family. "I need your help with something," said on the phone. His voice was careful. He did not want to tell her the truth. Not yet. You call me after 6 months of silence, and the first thing you say is you need help. His voice was sharp, but could hear the worry underneath. Are you okay? Are you sick? I'm fine. I just found an old device. Some kind of radio or translator. It's broken. I want to fix it. Why do you care about fixing old electronics? Paused. It belonged to someone important. I want to hear what's on it. Was quiet for a moment, then she sighed. Send me pictures, I'll tell you what I can. Sent her photos of the devices inside, careful to hide the strange alien material on the outside. Guided him through the repair process over the phone. It took hours. Some parts needed to be replaced with pieces from an old radio had in his house. The connections were delicate and strange, but slowly the device began to work again. Whatever this thing is, said, it's not like anything I've seen before. Where did you really find it? I told you, it's just old junk. Did not believe him, could tell, but she did not push. That was one good thing about his sister, she knew when to wait. On the third morning, the creature opened its eyes. Was sitting on a wooden box watching when it happened. The cracked glass eyes moved first. Then the creature's head turned slowly toward him. It tried to sit up but was too weak. A sound came from its mouth. Not words, just a low, clicking noise. Held up the translator device. Can you understand me? He turned the device on. Static filled the air. Then slowly the static became words. Yes, the voice was mechanical, broken but clear. I understand. His heart was pounding. He was talking to an alien, an actual alien from another world. Part of him still could not believe it. What is your name? He asked. The creature made a series of clicking sounds. The translator processed them. My designation translates to your language as one who counts. Repeated, why are you here? What happened to you? Was quiet for a moment. Its eyes moved around the barn, studying everything. Then it looked back at. I was shot down by my own kind, because I tried to warn you. Warn us about what? The harvest. What does that mean? Made a sound that might have been a sigh, or maybe pain. The translator crackled. I am a scout for the Dominion. The Dominion is an empire. It spans thousands of your star systems, thousands of worlds. Listened, his body frozen. The Dominion does not conquer, continued. It cultivates. Scouts like me are sent to mark worlds with intelligent life. We count the population, we measure the growth, then we leave. Leave, that's all. For a time, the marked worlds are left alone. Generations pass. The populations grow, technology advances, numbers increase. His cracked eyes seem to darken. Then comes the harvest. Entire populations are taken, processed, used for labor, for biological material, for other purposes. Felt sick. You're saying you farm entire planets like crops. Yes, seeds are planted, seeds grow, seeds are harvested. This is the way of the Dominion for 10,000 of your years. And Earth, our planet. Earth was marked 200 of your years ago. The growth period is almost complete. The harvest will begin in 11 of your moon cycles. 11 cycles, 11 months. Now understood what the dying translator had meant. Why did you come here? Asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Why try to warn us? Was quiet for a long time. The translator hummed with static. Because your world is different. Different how? The scouts who came before me, the ones who marked your world 200 years ago, they disappeared. They never reported back. The Dominion sent others to investigate. They disappeared too. His voice became lower, almost afraid. Your world resists the marking in ways we do not understand. Your signals are chaotic. Your electromagnetic noise is like nothing we have ever encountered. It interferes with our technology, confuses our navigation, blinds our sensors. Did not understand. Our noise, you mean like radio, television? All of it. Your entire planet screams into space without stopping. Most worlds are quiet, organized, controlled. Yours is chaos, beautiful, terrible chaos. Tried to lift its hand but failed. It fell back onto the hay. The Dominion does not understand your kind, and what the Dominion does not understand it fears. That is why I came, to see for myself, to find out why your world is different. And what did you find? Looked at for a long moment. I found you, a simple farmer who ran toward a crash instead of away from it, who treated an alien's wounds without knowing if it was an enemy, who fixed a broken machine to find answers instead of running in fear. The translator crackled. Your species does not behave like seeds. Seeds are passive. Seeds wait to be harvested. Your kind is different, unpredictable, stubborn. Did not know what to say. Can we fight them? He finally asked. The Dominion, can we win? His answer was slow and heavy. No species has ever won against the Dominion, but no species has ever been as loud as yours, as chaotic, as unwilling to be silent. Paused. Confusion is not victory, but it is a beginning, and you have 11 months to turn that beginning into something more. Sat in the quiet barn, the weight of the universe pressing down on him. 11 months. The entire human race had 11 months before something came to harvest them like wheat in a field. And somehow, the only one who knew was a broken farmer talking to a dying alien in a barn in the mountains of South Korea. Looked at. I cannot do this alone. No, agreed. You cannot, but you are human. You do not know how to be alone. Find others, the loud ones, the stubborn ones, the ones who refuse to be silent. Nodded slowly. He knew who he needed to call first. He picked up his phone and dialed number. It was time to tell her the truth. Arrived at its farm 2 days after the phone call. She had not believed him at first. She had thought her brother had finally lost his mind from loneliness and grief, but something in his voice made her drive 6 hours through the mountains to see for herself. When she walked into the barn and saw lying on the hay, she did not scream. She did not run. She stood very still, her face pale as paper, and stared. "This is real," she whispered. It was not a question. "Yes," said, "this is real." Sat down on a wooden box. Her legs were shaking. Gave her water and waited while she processed what she was seeing. It took almost an hour before she could speak again. "Tell me everything," she said. Told her about the crash, about the translator, about the Dominion and the harvest and the 11 months they had left. Listened without interrupting. When he finished, her face was hard and focused. The shock was gone. Now she was thinking. "We need help," she said. "This is too big for just us." "I know, but who? The government will hide this. The military will lock us away. No one will believe us." Was quiet for a moment, then she pulled out her phone. "There was a woman I met last year at a security conference. Retired military, very high rank. She runs a private security company now, but she's different from the others. She asks questions that make powerful people uncomfortable. Why would she help us?" Smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Because she's dying. Cancer. She has maybe a year left. A woman with nothing to lose is the most dangerous kind." Made the call. Arrived 1 week later. She was 45 years old with short gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see through everything. She walked with a slight limp from an old injury, but her presence filled the room like a storm. She looked at the crashed craft that had covered with a tarp behind the barn. She listened to the recording from the translator device, and when it was over, she nodded once. "I knew something was wrong," said. "Military satellites detected unusual activity months ago. Strange signals. Objects entering the atmosphere that disappeared before they could be tracked. The reports were buried, classified. I tried to investigate, but they pushed me out, called me paranoid." She looked at with something like respect. "You found what they were hiding." "What do we do?" asked. Thought for a moment. "We need more information, More people, but the right people, not government, not military, people who can think outside the system. I might know someone, came a voice from outside. They all turned. A young man stood in the doorway of the barn. He was thin and messy, with dark circles under his eyes and clothes that looked like he had slept in them for days. He held a laptop under his arm. Reached for the knife on his belt. Who are you? How did you find us? The young man held up his hands. Relax. My name is, let's say researcher. I've been tracking unusual satellite interference for months. When your sister started asking questions about strange technology, her communications lit up like a Christmas tree on my monitoring system. Stepped forward. You hacked into her communications. I hack into everything, it's what I do. Looked past them his eyes went wide. Oh wow, that's an actual alien, that's a real actual alien. I was right. I was right about everything. You're a conspiracy theorist, said her voice flat. I prefer the term truth seeker. And right now I'm the best friend you have, because I know things. I've been collecting data for years. Strange signals from deep space. Patterns that don't match any natural phenomenon. Objects that appear and disappear in the upper atmosphere. He stepped into the barn, his eyes never leaving. The question is, are you going to let me help, or are you going to try to keep this secret from the one person who already knows? She looked at. A silent conversation passed between them. Fine, said, but if you betray us, I will make sure you regret it. Grinned, fair enough. Over the next 2 weeks, the four of them worked together in small farmhouse. Grew stronger and was able to sit up and talk for longer periods. The alien became their teacher, explaining everything it knew about the Dominion. The Dominion's technology was biological, explained. Their ships were not built from metal. They were grown from living tissue. This made them adaptive and self-repairing, but also vulnerable in ways that mechanical ships were not. Their navigation system used gravitational markers, massive objects in space that the Dominion ships used like landmarks. If these markers were disrupted, the ships could become lost. And most importantly, the Dominion communicated through a vast network that connected all their scouts and ships across the galaxy. This network could be accessed. It could be listened to. Maybe it could even be invaded. Your electromagnetic noise, said during one of their meetings, is why Earth has remained hidden for so long. Your radio signals, your television broadcasts, your cellular networks. They create a wall of chaos that our sensors cannot penetrate easily. We have to get close to see through it. Laughed. So our garbage signals have been protecting us. All the reality shows and pop music and spam calls. Yes, the Dominion prefers silence, order, predictability. Your world is the opposite of everything they understand. Leaned forward. Can this be used as a weapon? Considered the question. Possibly. Dominion biology is sensitive to certain frequencies. The right signal at the right strength could cause them pain, could disrupt their technology, could confuse their senses. Then we need to learn which frequencies, said. We need to experiment, test. You have 11 months, reminded them. Now 10 months and 2 weeks. That is not much time to learn what the Dominion has perfected over thousands of years. It's enough, said. Her voice was iron. It has to be enough. That night sat outside alone. The stars were bright above him. He had looked at those stars his entire life without really seeing them. Now he knew what was hiding up there. An empire of harvesters, coming for Earth, coming for everyone. Found him sitting on a rock near the edge of the forest. Are you okay? She asked. No, admitted. I'm terrified. I'm just a farmer, a broken man who came here to hide from the world. Now I'm supposed to help save it. Sat down beside him. You're not broken, brother, you're wounded. There's a difference. Broken things fall apart. Wounded things heal and become stronger. She looked up at the stars. And you're not alone anymore. None of us are. We found each other. A farmer, an engineer, a soldier, and a hacker, not exactly the heroes from the movies. Almost smiled, said something similar, that we need the loud ones, the stubborn ones. Well, that's definitely us, laughed quietly. We're probably the most stubborn people on the planet. They sat in silence for a while, then spoke. If we fail, everyone dies, every person on Earth, every child, everyone. Then we don't fail, said simply. We don't know how to be quiet, we don't know how to give up. That's what's said, right? Humanity is too chaotic, too unpredictable. She stood up and offered her hand to her brother. Let's show them how unpredictable we can be. Took her hand and stood. Behind them in the farmhouse and were already working, planning, preparing, the first resistance against an enemy that had never known defeat. 10.5 months remained. The seeds were learning to fight back. 6 months had passed since the crash, 6 months of work, secrets, and preparation. The small group had grown into something more, not an army, not yet, but a network, a web of people who knew the truth and were willing to fight. Had contacts everywhere, old military friends who trusted her more than they trusted their own governments, scientists who had seen strange data and been told to forget about it, engineers who built things the world was not supposed to know about. One by one, she brought them into the circle. Had built a communication system that could not be traced. The group members talked through encrypted channels that looked like ordinary internet traffic. They shared information, research, and plans without ever meeting in person. Had become their voice to the outside world, not revealing the truth yet but preparing for it. She planted seeds of her own in the media, stories about unusual signals from space, unexplained satellite disruptions, strange objects in the upper atmosphere. The public was starting to ask questions, and had become something he never expected to be, a leader. He did not give orders. He did not make grand speeches, but people looked to him, the man who had found the alien, the man who had chosen to help instead of run, the man who had brought them all together. It made him uncomfortable, but he accepted it. There was no time for comfort anymore. Had recovered fully. The alien moved differently now, less like a creature of the Dominion and more like one of them. It studied human behavior with endless curiosity. It learned to appreciate music, especially the loud and chaotic kind that humans loved. It even laughed sometimes, a strange clicking sound that had become familiar. "You are ready," said one evening when the core group was gathered in his farmhouse. "Ready for the next step." "What next step?" asked. She looked tired. Her illness was getting worse, but she refused to slow down. Activated a device on the table. A holographic map appeared in the air. Stars, planets, lines connecting them like a web. This is the Dominion Communication Network. Every ship, every scout, every world they control is connected through this system. It is how they coordinate, how they plan, how they watch. Can we tap into it? Leaned forward, his eyes bright with interest. Not easily, but you do not need to listen, you need to speak. Speak to who? To them, to the Dominion. The room went quiet. Broke the silence. You want us to contact the people who are coming to harvest us. Yes, not to beg, not to negotiate, to declare. Looked around at each of them. In 10,000 years, no species has ever sent a message to the Dominion before a harvest. Seeds do not speak. Seeds do not know they are seeds until the harvest begins. But you know, and that changes everything. What would this message accomplish? Asked. It would tell them that you know they are coming, that you are not seeds waiting to be picked, that you choose to fight. And that helps us how? His cracked eyes seemed to glow. The Dominion does not understand resistance. They have never faced it. A message from a seed world would be unprecedented. It would force them to think, to question, to hesitate. And hesitation is the first step toward fear. Understood. We're not trying to win with this message. We're trying to make them afraid. Yes, Fear leads to mistakes. Mistakes can be exploited. You cannot defeat the Dominion with weapons, but you might defeat them with confusion, with unpredictability, with everything that makes your species what it is. Was already typing on his laptop. If we broadcast on the right frequency, using the patterns has taught us, they'll receive it. They'll know it's real. There is a risk, warned. Right now, the Dominion knows Earth's general location. They have old data from 200 years ago, but your noise has hidden your exact position. A direct broadcast will reveal precisely where you are. It will speed up the timeline, said. Her voice was calm, accepting. Possibly by weeks, maybe months. Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars were coming out. Somewhere up there, an empire was waiting to harvest her world. If we hide, they come in 5 months and find us unprepared, she said. If we broadcast, they might come in 4 months and find us ready to fight. Is anyone ever ready to fight the Dominion? Asked. Answered slowly. No species has ever been ready, but no species has ever tried to be ready either. You are the first. Made the decision for all of them. We broadcast tomorrow night. We tell them we know they're coming. We tell them we're not going to hide. We tell them that Earth is not like the other worlds they've harvested. She looked at. What should the message say? Thought about it. He thought about his wife gone forever. He thought about the village empty and quiet. He thought about all the people on Earth who had no idea what was coming. The children playing in parks. The families eating dinner together. The old people watching television. None of them knew, but they would, soon. Keep it simple, he said. They don't understand us. They never will. So let's show them exactly what we are. That night they wrote the message together. It took hours. Every word was debated, changed, perfected. When they finished, translated it into a form the Dominion would understand. The next evening, they gathered around equipment. A makeshift broadcast station built from stolen military parts and alien technology had helped design it. It would reach the Dominion network directly. Are we sure about this? Asked one final time. No, admitted, but we're doing it anyway. He pressed the button. The signal went out, a pulse of energy carrying human words into the infinite darkness. It would take time to reach the Dominion ships. Hours, maybe days, but it would reach them. The message was simple. We are Earth. We know you are coming. We know what you do to worlds like ours. We are not seeds. We are not cattle. We are not silent. We remember what you forgot. We are still here. Come if you dare. Listen to the transmission with something like pride. It is done, they will hear, and they will not know what to think. What happens now? Asked. Now you prepare. Every day you have left you use to get ready. Build your weapons, train your people, learn your enemy. Moved to the window and looked up at the stars. There is something else, something I did not tell you before. Everyone turned to look at the alien. The Dominion keeps records of every harvest for 10,000 years, every world, every species, every seed that was grown and collected. His voice became quiet. But there is one record that is different, one world that was marked but never harvested. Its name was erased from the archives. Its location was deleted. Speaking about it is forbidden. What happened to it? Asked. No one knows. The scouts sent there never returned. The ships that followed vanished. And eventually the Dominion decided that world did not exist. They chose to forget. Turn to face them. The Dominion does not fear you because you are strong. They fear you because they have forgotten why they should. Something happened on that lost world. Something that taught the Dominion the meaning of fear. And your species reminds them of it. Felt a chill run through his body. You think Earth is connected to that world. I think you should be glad that you make them remember their fear. Fear makes them careful. Fear makes them hesitate. And hesitation gives you time. Outside, the night was quiet. But somewhere in the darkness of space, A message was flying toward an ancient empire. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Dominion would hear something it had never heard before. The seeds were talking back. The world changed faster than anyone expected. 3 weeks after the broadcast, government satellites intercepted the transmission records. Secret agencies traced the signal back to South Korea. Soldiers came to farm. They arrested everyone. They took to a secure facility. They demanded answers. But they were too late to stop the truth. Had prepared for this. The moment the soldiers arrived, automatic systems activated. The message, the evidence, recordings, everything was uploaded to thousands of servers around the world. Journalists received anonymous files. Scientists got data they could not explain. Within hours, the story was everywhere. At first, people did not believe it. They called it a hoax, a movie promotion, a strange joke, but the evidence was too strong. The alien technology was too real. And when was shown on live television, speaking through the translator, explaining what was coming, the world could no longer deny the truth. Panic came first. Stock markets crashed. Religions declared the end of days. Governments blamed each other for hiding the truth. For 3 weeks, civilization seemed ready to tear itself apart. Then something unexpected happened. People stopped fighting. It started small. Enemies in a civil war in Africa put down their weapons and looked at the sky together. Political rivals in America shook hands and asked how they could help. Scientists who had competed for decades began sharing their research openly. Religious leaders of different faiths met to pray together. The human race had always been divided by borders, by beliefs, by old hatred passed down through generations. But facing extinction, those divisions seemed small and stupid. What did it matter who believed what or who had wronged whom 100 years ago? They were all going to die together unless they worked together. A global defense initiative formed within 2 months, not led by any single nation, led by everyone. The best minds from every country worked side by side. Factories that had made cars and phones now made weapons based on knowledge. Satellites were redesigned to broadcast the frequencies that hurt the Dominion's biology. Every radio tower, every cell phone antenna, every speaker on the planet was connected to a single network. The world became loud on purpose. Was released from custody after the first week. He was not a criminal anymore. He was a hero. The man who had saved an alien and started humanity's resistance. People wanted to meet him, interview him, thank him. He hated every moment of it. "I didn't do anything special," he told one evening. They were at the Global Defense Headquarters, a massive facility that had been built in just 3 months. "I just found a crashed ship and helped someone who was hurt. Anyone would have done the same." "No," said. "They wouldn't. Most people would have run. You didn't. That's why you're important." Died 4 months after the broadcast. The cancer finally took her, but she died knowing that her work would continue. She had built the foundation of Earth's defense. She had trained the leaders who would carry on. On her last day, she smiled and said she was glad she got to see humanity unite before she left. Became the head of electronic warfare. His chaotic mind was perfect for creating signals that would confuse and hurt the Dominion. He built weapons that no military had ever imagined, jammers that could blind alien sensors, broadcasters that could cause pain to their biological ships, a symphony of noise designed to fight an empire. Became an advisor to the Global Council, the alien who had betrayed its own kind to save a world it barely knew. Some people hated. They blamed all aliens for what was coming, but most people understood, had given them a chance. That was more than they had before. And then, 6 months after the broadcast, the Dominion arrived. It did not come as a fleet. It came as a presence, a single massive entity that entered the solar system like a dark god walking into a room. The thing was larger than Earth's moon. It was alive, a ship that was also a creature, covered in eyes and mouths and things that had no name in any human language. It stopped near Mars and waited. Then it spoke. The message came through every communication device on Earth. Televisions, radios, phones, computers, even the speakers in cars and elevators. A voice that was ancient and cold and absolutely certain of its own power. Seeds do not speak. Seeds do not resist. Your transmission was heard. It changes nothing. Return to silence and the harvest will be merciful. You will feel nothing. You will simply end. Continue this noise and the harvest will be painful. You will know every moment of your collection. Choose. The world waited for a response. Leaders looked at each other. Generals checked their weapons. Scientists monitored their equipment. Everyone was afraid. No one wanted to be the first to speak. Stood on the balcony of the defense headquarters looking at the sky. He could not see the Dominion ship. It was too far away, but he could feel it, like a weight pressing down on his chest. Stood beside him. They expect you to surrender, said. Every other species has surrendered at this point. The threat of pain always works. Not this time, said. He walked back inside to the communications center. Was there. The leaders of every nation were watching through screens. The whole world was watching. Picked up the microphone that connected to the global broadcast network. Are you sure about this? Asked. No, said, but I was never sure about anything. I wasn't sure I should help. I wasn't sure I should tell you the truth. I wasn't sure we should send that first message, but I did all those things anyway, and here we are. He pressed the button and spoke. This is Earth. We received your message. Here is our answer. He nodded too. Every radio station on the planet activated. Every satellite dish turned toward the Dominion ship. Every speaker, every phone, every device that could make sound came alive at the same moment. And humanity screamed. Not with fear, not with pain, but with everything they were. Music blasted from every speaker. Rock and pop and classical and jazz and every kind of sound humans had ever created. People sang and shouted and laughed and cried. Billions of voices all at once, refusing to be silent. The global defense satellites focused their jamming beams on the Dominion entity. Frequencies that had identified as painful to their biology pulsed through space. The carefully designed chaos that had created washed over the alien ship like a wave. And the Dominion entity shuddered. For the first time in 10,000 years, it hesitated. Through the screens they could see the massive creature twitch and writhe. Its eyes blinked rapidly. Its movements became uncertain. It had never experienced anything like this. A world that fought back with noise, with chaos, with pure, stubborn refusal to accept death quietly. The entity sent another message, and for the first time, there was something in its voice that had never been there before. Confusion, and beneath that very faintly fear. This is not possible. Seeds do not fight. Seeds do not hurt. What are you? Answered. We told you we are Earth. We are not seeds. We are not cattle. We are the loud ones, the stubborn ones, the ones who refuse to die quietly. He looked then at the screens showing faces from every nation on the planet. You wanted to harvest us. Come and try. He released the microphone. The Dominion entity remained near Mars. It did not advance. It did not retreat. It simply stayed there, watching, trying to understand something it had never encountered before. The first battle was not a battle at all. It was a statement, a declaration, a promise. We see you, we know you, and we are not afraid. That night returned to his mountain, to the place where everything had begun. The crash site was still there, though the craft had been taken away for study. He sat on the same rock where he had sat so many times before. Came and sat beside him. They will still come, said. Eventually, when they overcome their confusion, when they develop new strategies, they have never lost and they will not accept losing now. I know, said. You may still die, all of you. The odds are not in your favor. I know that too. Was quiet for a moment. Then why do you seem at peace? Thought about it. He thought about his wife, gone but not forgotten. He thought about the lonely years he had spent hiding from the world. He thought about the strange path that had led him from grief to something like hope. Because we're not hiding anymore, he said. For the first time in history, every human on Earth knows what's coming, and instead of giving up, they chose to fight, together. He looked up at the stars. Maybe we'll win, maybe we won't, but we'll go down screaming so loud that the whole galaxy will hear us. And maybe, somewhere out there, other seeds will hear that scream and realize they don't have to be quiet either. Made the clicking sound that was its laugh. You really are different. No, said. We're just human. This is what we do. We refuse to be silent. We refuse to accept the end. We fight until we can't fight anymore, and then we fight a little more. He smiled for the first time in a long time. The Dominion has harvested 10,000 worlds. They've never asked themselves what would happen if the seeds decided to become the farmers. He stood up and looked at the sky, where the Dominion entity waited. They're about to find out. Far above, the stars continued to shine. The ancient empire watched and waited and tried to understand. And on a small blue planet, 8 billion voices rose together in beautiful, defiant chaos. The harvest had come, but the seeds had learned to fight back. And nothing in the universe would ever be the same again.